Hello, I'm Captain Jack and welcome to the Hangar Bay. On this channel, we take a deep dive into the best starships, technology, and more from your favourite sci-fi universes. In Battlestar Galactica, when a Viper is mentioned, we typically think of a Viper MkII, arguably the best space fighter for Battlestar. However, with the Reimagined series, a new design came about. This was a Viper MkVII space-superiority fighter used by the Colonial Fleet in the years prior to the fall of the 12 Colonies. But what makes this design so impressive? Let's take a look. Remember, for the latest videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think of this ship in the comments below. And while you're watching, tell us what you think your Viper pilot call sign would be. Oh yes, these are typically assigned to you and not chosen. We're still wondering what you think you would end up with. Get commenting. The Viper MkVII measured 9.88 meters in length, 5.62 meters in width, and 2.96 meters in height. As the 7th generation of Viper designed by the Colonial Fleet, this design had many features that made it an advanced space superiority fighter capable of taking on enemy threats with ease. These Vipers were assigned to nearly every Colonial installation before the fall of the 12 Colonies. A single pilot operates a Viper MkVII. However, they're supported by an advanced suite of avionics and DRADIS systems. The cockpit is almost totally computerized. For example, there are far fewer analog gauges and more reliance is placed on a central flight computer. These systems give the MkVII pilot far greater control of a fighter and likely greater targeting control in dogfighting scenarios. In terms of the armament of a Viper MkVII design, the primary weapons are 3 forward-facing 30mm kinetic energy weapon cannons. 2 are located in the wings, with 1 cannon in the vertical stabilizer. These weapons fire small caliber projectiles at a fast rate. Like previous Viper designs, the MkVII can also be armed with missiles and have various ordnance harpoons. Typically, ship-to-ship missiles are installed on this Viper design. In terms of engine operations, the Viper design is propelled by 3 aft-mounted turbo-thrust sublight engines. There is no FTL system installed on this fighter. As with other Colonial Vipers, it relies on a Battlestar or other ship to transport it around. The MkVII can operate in a planet's atmosphere. It utilizes its aerodynamic frame to enhance flight in the atmosphere. The incredible agility of a Viper MkVII design is significantly enhanced in space, as it has been specifically designed for this environment. Before the fall of the 12 Colonies, all Viper MkVIIs were installed with the Colonial's new command navigation program. The computer systems on board the Viper was also networked. This turned out to be a massive flaw, as the Cylons used it to hack in and remotely disable Vipers, Battlestars, and anything else with the CMP installed. As such, following the fall, surviving Viper MkVIIs had their computers unnetworked and the CMP purged from their systems. Surviving fighters would also see a retrofit to an older avionics package to replace the compromised onboard systems. Like previous Viper fighter designs, the MkVII is also equipped with an ejector seat for the pilot in the event of severe damage to the fighter craft or in emergency situations. Before the fall of the 12 Colonies, the Colonial Fleet developed an evolution of the Viper MkVII. To differentiate the two designs, as they are similar, we identify this new design as the Viper MkVII-B, which makes the main one we've been talking about the MkVII-A. There are a few differences between the designs, but ultimately they do appear very similar. One notable difference is the B has a more oval nose design. You can see the Mk-A on the left and the Mk-B on the right. The MkVII-B is 9.98 meters long, 5.80 meters wide, and 2.83 meters in height. It had the same number of engines, weapons, and systems. Other identifiers of the different design are the angular air intakes. The B has 3 intakes on the ventral side. This is opposed to the A's angle intake. Additionally, the new version possesses a drab grey hue that differs from the original's gunmetal grey coloration. The MkVII Vipers were introduced to the Colonial Fleet sometime before the fall of the 12 Colonies. Notably, they were designed during a time where the Colonials were becoming increasingly more generous with the computer technology used on their ships, especially military designs. Previously, Colonial designs were not networked and incredibly basic in their computer department to stop the Cylon forces from hacking into them. The Colonial Admiralty had begun getting comfortable with the idea that the Cylon threat would not return. As such, the MkVII's computer components were networked and also included the new command navigation program. As previously mentioned, this was ultimately a big downfall. When the Cylons did return, and they attacked during the fall of the 12 Colonies, they were able to remotely shut down the Viper MkVIIs through wireless access to the command navigation program. This caused the Viper fighters to lose power and be easily destroyed. During the fall, this happened to many squadrons of Viper MkVIIs. Notably, the Capricorn air defense fell victim to this, as the defending Colonial Battlestars and Vipers all fell victim to the CMB infiltration one after another. The Cylon forces would make short work of these fighters. The Jupiter-class Battlestar Galactica sent its own squadron of Viper MkVIIs off from the ship as part of its decommissioning process. While 2 hours away from Caprica, and some distance from Galactica, the Viper squadron detected Cylon forces and attempted to engage. Unfortunately, the CMP virus was used and the squadron was obliterated. The Battlestar Galactica would retain some of her Viper MkVIIs and rip out their command navigation program, as well as fully unnetwork the remaining fighters. As such, onboard Galactica, the Viper MkVIIs were typically used by veteran pilots, officers, and the CAGs due to their limited numbers. Galactica's fighters were instead made up of a much older, but still formidable, Viper Mk2s. We've actually done a full breakdown of a Viper Mk2 here on the Hangar Bay YouTube channel. You can find a link to that in the video description below. The Mercury-class Battlestar Pegasus, which survived the fall of the 12 Colonies, had an onboard foundry. This meant the Battlestar was capable of manufacturing new Mk7 Vipers, using resources gathered from asteroids. As such, when Pegasus arrived and joined Galactica's ragtag fleet, it supplied the older Battlestar with new fighters. The Battlestar Pegasus carried the Viper Mk7B, and would use its onboard factories to manufacture new fighters of this same design. As such, they would begin to supplement the Battlestar Galactica's aging Viper Mk7 fighters, and the Mk7As it carried on board. Still, Galactica's ragtag fleet continued to make use of both variants of the Viper Mk7. Ultimately, the Viper Mk7 holds a place as the most sophisticated space-superiority fighter designed by the 12 Colonies. By the time of the Battle of a Colony, all the Viper Mk7As had been replaced on board the Battlestar Galactica. The Viper Mk7 actually has its origins before Ronald D. Moore and David Icke's reimagining of Battlestar Galactica. 2 years before the new series would debut in 2003, director Bryan Singer and producer Tom DeSanto were in development of a new Battlestar Galactica for the Fox network. Due to real-world events, the project was put on hold. While this project never made it off the ground, for various reasons, the production team had already created a lot of concept art for their new series. Guy Hendricks Days had been overseeing the production team of Fox's Battlestar Galactica. When Moore and Icke began developing their show, the concept art was available to visual effects supervisor Gary Hutzel and his staff. They would use it as a foundation for the new show. Eric Chu designed the Viper Mk7A for the reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica. Season 3 of the series would see the original Mk7 modified. This is where we differentiate between the Mk7A and the Mk7B. Pierre Droulet would redesign the Viper for Season 3, amending the exterior. Notable changes included the kinetic energy weapons, which varied in shape and moved towards the ship's body. Also, the Viper was now a duller grey from the gunmetal grey used in previous seasons. Both versions of the Viper appear in the 4th season, though they do not typically appear on screen together. David Weddle, a writer for Battlestar Galactica's Reimagined Series, once mentioned that the Viper Mk7's cockpit design was based on either the F-16 or the F-18 real-world fighter jet. For example, the side-mounted control stick more closely resembles that of an F-16, which is appropriate given the jet's Viper nickname. As always, a big thank you to the Battlestar.wiki team for help with this video. You can check out the link below for the wiki for the most up-to-date information on Battlestar Galactica. We'd also like to extend a massive thank you to Battlestar Galactica's Rob Bonchune, who created the stunning thumbnail for this video. Check him out on ArtStation and Instagram using the links in the video description. So, that's our complete breakdown of the Battlestar Galactica's Colonial Viper Mk7, both the A and B variants. What do you think of its Viper fighter design, or do you prefer the classic Mark II? Either way, let us know your thoughts in the video comment section below. If you want to continue the Battlestar Starship breakdowns here on the Hangar Bay channel, first hit that subscribe button and then check out the playlist on the end screen. We've done dedicated breakdowns of the Jupiter class, Mercury class, Cylon base ship, and many more designs from the Battlestar Galactica universe. Let us know what you think of these in the comments below. That's the end of this video. I've been Captain Jack in the Hangar Bay. Remember, if you're talking about science fiction, we want to hear about it.